Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, media, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. Documenting our Black powerful history and amplifying our Black voices, one interview at a time. We are The Culture.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of The Culture. I'm your host, Jessica Modkins. We've been having some great guests, and we're going to keep it going. We have Brandon. Brandon, pronounce your last name for me.
Okpalobi, the K is silent.
Okpalobi.
B.
Okpalobi.
Yes.
The K is silent.
Yes.
I said it. Welcome to The Culture.
Thank you for having me. I hope all is well.
Yes, it is. Brandon, you are very decorated. You have a number of things that you are doing through your companies to impact our community here in South Florida and beyond. Can you tell us what got you into the nonprofit space?
Sure. Well, I started my company, DIBIA Athletic, which is a for-profit, in 2011. And we primarily train kids through sports. So we were doing basketball camps, clinics, and one-on-one training. But we always scholarship kids to the program. And when we started scholarshiping more kids, we could always tell who those scholarship kids were, no matter what they looked like or how they came into the camp or program. We just knew who they were. And so I said, we should probably do some research on understanding their background and just things that they may be going through. And doing that research, I realized a lot of those kids dealt with things that I dealt with as a kid, but they didn't find the solutions that I found, right? Like when I was a kid, I was extremely bad. So I like to say I was misunderstood, but I was kicked out of second grade, third grade, and almost fourth grade. And I had a great teacher sit me down, Ms. Foley, and really guide me to a better path. And then also too, through sports, that kept me off the streets, and science really allowed me to take myself into another planet, I would like to say. Like if everything around me was chaotic, I could read a science book or do a science project and I was fine. And so what I was noticing is that these kids weren't doing that. And so I said, let's build a program around helping kids in the community. We partnered at the time with Breakthrough, so they had Breakthrough Saturdays. So I was like, we could do Saturday programming. Because DIBIA Athletic was in Miami, we expanded to Baltimore, Bermuda, New Orleans. I was just really busy. But then I took a step back and said, are we really trying to change the narrative, or are we doing this to make ourselves feel good? And so when I decided to change the narrative, that meant we needed actual programming each day of the school year. And so we started an after-school program called DIBIA, called Dream Academy. And when we started that, we started in one site in Overtown, which expanded to another site in Alapata, and then 6 to 8 sites within Miami, one site in New Orleans, one site in Atlanta. And then now, as of 2 Mondays ago, we have 7 sites in Bermuda. And so what started was, we just want to help kids one day a week turn into helping kids every day of the year in multiple locations. And so it was very important for me to ensure that kids had opportunities that I made for myself, because when I was young, there was a time where I couldn't eat in my own home. And that's a totally different story. But I had to go find my own food, right? And so a lot of kids were struggling with meals. They were only getting their meals at school. I didn't know that at the time because I was just, working and wasn't thinking about other people. How are they eating? It just wasn't top of mind. And so we were blessed to partner with Hyatt Regency in New Orleans and start something called Dream Packs, where Hyatt Regency had abundance of food. And so on Thursday, they would get their team members pack over 50 Dream Packs, which we call them, with 35 different perishable items, and then deliver them each Thursday to our students in our Dream Academy program there. And so one thing I would say is that, yes, God gave me the idea, but it's definitely been people coming to the table who are like-minded to help us elevate this mission.
And now you did mention this, but when we're talking about underserved youth, there are different experiences that they have for life. What gaps did you notice in their development academically, socially, athletically? What did you identify
Sure. Just from looking at them, there was just a confidence, right? I may have had a lot of issues growing up, but if you meet Nigerians, one thing we are is extremely confident. Some say borderline arrogant, but so I had the confidence, and a lot of kids did not. And I noticed that. I noticed a lot of kids were not trying to be smart. That wasn't the cool thing. It wasn't cool to be smart, right? And so identifying those things just from looking at them, but then also too doing a lot of research. That's where it's a number that I can't remember right now because it was in 2014. I read the article, but it was either, I think it's 3 million. There's like a 3 million word gap. And basically kids from inner cities don't hear 3 million words or are read to in their development stages. And so that was very important for me to make sure that kids were able to read and understand some of the STEM concepts that we were talking about in our program. And so looking at, food disparity, education, confidence, and also just quality programming, we did not want to be where we're just babysitting kids. That's not what I wanted. Nothing that we do is just babysitting kids. You're coming to a DIBIA athletic basketball camp. If you've never picked up a ball, you're going to walk away being able to play the game of basketball. If you come to Dream Academy or STEM Saturday, Spark Summer Institute, or any of the programs DIBIA Dream has, you're going to develop a love for STEM the way we engage you. We make science fun and engaging. And then with science, the projects that we have bring you in and give you auxiliary items to make sure that you're having a great time. It's basically like Disney World in a box. And so all of those things we really used to say, okay, how can we give these students exposure, but then also opportunities that their affluent peers have, been able to have.
So with the STEM, is it combined with the sports?
Yeah, so DIBIA Dream has 5 pillars of STEM education, financial literacy, health and wellness, mentorship, and sports. And so we make sure that the kids have well-rounded education and fun experiences, right? In 2014, they took away art in Miami-Dade, recess, PE, and another program. Since they've changed that, but during that year, a lot of things were taken away from kids. And so we wanted to make sure that we were able to provide them those opportunities because kids need to be active. You can't just sit kids in a classroom. Like I was able to sit in the classroom, or maybe I wasn't. That's probably why I was so bad, because I did my work early and then I was just all over the place. But kids can't just sit in straight lines and just listen to people anymore, right? Kids are, as soon as kids are born, they're given iPads or any type of device that's making their head, really move faster than how we were raised. And so we went outside and we learned things. Kids today can do anything with a device without you even telling them. They can figure it out for themselves. And so their brains are different, and we need to adjust. We cannot give them the same things that we had in the past.
So you successfully bridged the gap between STEM education and athletics. It seems like a hybrid to me. How did that work, or how have your students received it?
Sure. In the beginning, it wasn't received well because we would always try to do education first and then get to any type of sport or anything like that. And I read a book called Spark, and that's why our summer program is called Spark Summer Institute, where they talked about, okay, if you work out in the morning, you're better at work, or you feel better throughout the day, you're able to retain more information. And so we do our active, dream active, or anything like that first. And then, they get a meal, there's homework, and then dream active, and then they go into one of those 5 pillars of education to make sure, one, that kids are having a good time and that they're moving, because kids like to do that. But then also, two, we infuse that with the STEM. We have a STEM and sports curriculum, and so we try to engage them through other things that they did not do during the day.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a success story. DIBIA has its hands in a number of different programmatic activities. Give me an example, or tell our viewers one of the opportunities that you saw. Yep, this is exactly why I have to continue to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, we started, before we did STEM Saturdays on our own, we partnered with Overtown Youth Center and did Super Saturdays. And so it would be breakfast, tutoring, STEM, and then sports. And so we would do that, probably 6 or 7 Saturdays out the year. And each Saturday, this one kid would give us problems, right? He just wanted to do sports. And so I think that week we were doing rockets. And so he was like, Coach, look, I don't want to do the STEM project. I don't want to do homework. I just want to play basketball. Basketball was the sport that day. And I said, look, if you complete your homework and the STEM project in a second, I'll let you play basketball the rest of the time. And I never saw him again because he was outside launching rockets. He did not come back in because he had so much fun exploring rockets. Then he started talking about wanting to be an astronaut. These are the things that we want to see. Is I think in our community, we push sports. I saw someone on Instagram post this. She's actually about to go into space talking about we push sports versus the fun of education, right? The fun of science, right? Parents will travel all over the country, take your kid to different sports, different gyms, wake up at different times, but they won't do the same for science competitions or anything like that. And I think there's a need for a balance. I really thank my parents each time I see them now for, they never said no to my crazy ideas. Like I remember my first science fair, they were like, your class has to do stuff on clouds. And so everyone did construction paper, clouds and stuff like that. And I said, Dad, look, I want to make an actual like atmosphere. I want to get an aquarium. I want to get a 2x4. I want to make these clouds coming down. I want all this water. And he just went to Home Depot and we did it. He bought the stuff and then let me do it. And there was never like a no as far as education. In my house, education was like first above everything. And so I'm really thankful for that, allowing me to explore. And so I think that allowed me also to pursue sports even heavier, because if I didn't get certain grades, I couldn't play basketball in high school, definitely couldn't play at the University of Miami. So they go hand in hand.
Now, you are in multiple cities here in the U.S. as well as abroad, and I am certain that the programs are consistent. How are you able to maintain that consistency with those different communities? Because I know the children that are here in South Florida aren't culturally the same as the children in other areas that you have your company.
Yeah, well, I will say that we all have the same issues. There are some different underlying issues, but we all have the same issues. And I think one of the good things of social media and our culture is that you kind of have the same culture globally. It's just that you may interact differently within your neighborhood or environment. And so the way that we're able to achieve quality across all of our programs is our dream team. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do. So big shout out to our dream team, our director of programming, Itita Finch, our U.S. STEM people, Alexa, Allison, Lamaya, our Bermuda STEM person, Neville, our program manager, Christian, Ops, Awana. Like these are the people who make sure that all of our kids have a great program. And then our enhancement coordinators at each site, and the principals that we work with at the schools. The principals really allow us to come into their environment with our program, train their staff, and make it what we like to call classroom without walls every day after school. And so that is how we're able to truly change the narrative of what we talk about and what we consistently say, like, hey, if we want to make a change, we have to do it this way. And so it takes a lot of people. And I probably didn't mention our sponsors, but thank you to all and every sponsor from day one, especially my friends as well who have come to the table to step up, family and friends. I really appreciate it.
Tell us about that. How can people give?
Yeah, so there's different ways, time, talent, and treasure. We always want people to come out to the program. They see us all the time, but if they get to see the community and hear from the community, different community leaders, they really start to understand when we tell them the community cares about their pathway. So definitely time volunteering at a STEM Saturday, because it's so much engagement in 3 hours, right? You build a project, you do pre-activities, you're in an amazing space Like we just did one at the Heat Arena and then Florida Panther Arena. And so we want to make sure that people come out to those programs. Talent, if there are ideas you have that we haven't thought of, we're open to that. Also, talent as far as great people to come and work with our program always. And then treasure funding. If there's partnerships that you know of, people we need to talk to, get in front of. If you want to donate online at dibiadream.org, we're always searching and trying to find new avenues and streams of making sure that we're sustainable to impact all the kids we serve.
Now, you mentioned the Marlins. Did you mention Marlins? You mentioned the Marlins, right?
Didn't mention Marlins, but we did one a couple of years ago at Marlins Stadium.
Okay. And how have those partnerships been able to develop, and what are some other partners that you work with?
Sure. So my first job out of college was with the Orange Bowl committee. So I was an Orange Bowl assistantship. So now I'm on the Orange Bowl committee. So it's kind of full circle for me. So we partnered with the Orange Bowl, and that's how we were able to, and that year as well, we were a Marlins community grant partner. And so that's how that came about of doing STEM. We had about 100 plus kids from Miami and Broward doing a chemical clock at the stadium. The one we recently did, wow, all of them were through the Orange Bowl. The one we recently did with the Heat was for, we have the 2026 National Championship. So we have STEM days. And so we had 100 kids from Miami-Dade launching rockets at the Heat Arena. They got to take a picture on the court. And then at Panther Arena, we had the same number, but kids from Broward build mechanical lungs. And then through their Avid Day for the Panthers, we had 150 kids between Key West and Palm Beach building magnetic alarms. And so those are all cool projects. And then at the Hard Rock Stadium, we did our first ever STEM Fest, where STEM Saturday is one project and we focus on that. STEM Fest is 30 projects in the concourse level, so or the suite level. So we call it like an arcade of STEM. So that was an amazing day. And so I have had a dream of taking kids outside of their community. We would do them in community centers, into arenas or stadiums to do STEM. And so April 12th, we have one at Homestead Speedway.
Nice. So you've mentioned that you are Orange Bowl committee member. You were a Miami Foundation fellow. Yes. You've been recognized by Forbes, Black Enterprise, a number of different organizations. What exactly do you think that those type of acknowledgments mean to you?
They're great. They are great. I tell people all the time, awards magnify our mission and what we do. And most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, I'm the one receiving them. But I personally don't need another award, but we do need awareness. Right. And so I am thankful for that awareness, because it puts us in front of people we were never in front of before. And so it means a lot when I'm able to either receive an award and be able to speak to the audience that is there, to have them understand what we do. And most of the time we will connect with someone in the audience and saying, hey, we would love to support. So it is, I'm beyond thankful for those recognitions.
Tell us about your work that you did with President Obama's Council on Fitness.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So that was part of DIBIA Athletic and DIBIA Dream partnering, where we were engaging kids. I think that was when we were doing stuff with the 100. And so each Saturday we had about, I would say, anywhere from 50 to 60 students in Miami, and we were engaging them. And that would receive recognition from President Obama, which was definitely unexpected. And so from there, we were able to impact more kids in some of the other areas within the states and things like that. So like you just mentioned, it definitely, what we do brings awareness, and that awareness takes our platform to another level.
Now, you mentioned the work that you're going to do on April the 12th. If there's a parent or a child who may become familiar with your program, how do they get involved?
Well, April 12th is specialized. So that's a certain group for our Homestead students. But our other programs that are open to everyone, definitely sign up for our newsletter on dibiadream.org or email at educate@dibiadream, DIBIA dream.org to get all the information of some of the programs that we have. I would say definitely in May, we'll have a couple STEM Saturdays coming up. We're doing our first STEM Saturday this Saturday in Bermuda, so I'm beyond excited about that. And then in the summer, we will have the Spark Summer Institute. So we have one at Arcola Lake, but it's only for Arcola kids. But the other sites that we have, we'll put on the site so people can sign up for that, as well as Bermuda. We'll have our camp August 4th, I think, through the 8th. And then we may take a couple of days off and then get ready for September on down.
Is there an age requirement, financial requirement, logistic, regional requirement to participate?
No, the age requirement we engage from ages 7 to 16 for STEM Saturdays. Dream Academy is K through 8th grade. The Spark Summer Institute is K through 12. Dream Scholars, which is our scholarship program. I didn't mention we give scholarships to graduating seniors majoring in STEM. You just apply online. Dream Explorers, which we are planning to hopefully bring our students to Bermuda. Each year we send kids outside of the country. So we've sent kids to London, South Africa, Namibia, Ghana, Tanzania, and they engage other students through STEM, but also have a cultural experience. And so that application will open up soon. And then we have a new program starting called STEM Avengers. So we will put the application online, and that's basically students from 8th through 12th grade. They'll go through a STEM fellowship for 10 months with STEM professionals. They'll do science competitions. They'll have their own STEM Saturdays and Spark Summer Institute. So that is open to everyone. You just have to apply online, and everything is free through Dream. And so, we just ask people to sign up and go from there. There are certain things. I think our Homestead STEM Saturdays are only for Homestead residents. Mm-hmm. But every other STEM Saturday is open to everyone.
Now, I know that you have built a relationship with F1 and Lewis Hamilton. I want you to tell us about that before we wrap.
It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, truly mind-blowing. I'll go through how it got there. We partner with the Laureus Foundation. The Laureus Foundation is a foundation that was started by IWC, which is a brand under Richemont. Richemont has a bunch of different brands. IWC is their amazing watch brand. And we partnered with them in New Orleans for our New Orleans site. So in 2022, F1 came to Miami. So they were like, hey, Brandon, we're going to do a partnership. And IWC sponsors Mercedes, which was Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to do an event, and we want you to be a part of it. That was the first conversation. The second conversation was like, hey, it'll be a golf event. I'm like, I don't play golf, but I'll do it for the kids. The third conversation was like, Brandon, we need you to fly to New Orleans. The event is much bigger. We need to have a conversation with you. And so it coincided with I was going on a guys trip, and all of my friends, they golf now versus I still play basketball. So everybody's big in golf. And so I'm explaining to them about golf because they're like, you're not good at golf. Why would you be doing a golf event? But then I said, I'm doing a golf event with Tom Brady, Lewis Hamilton, Marcus Allen, and myself. And everybody's upset. Like, why do you get to play golf with them and all this? And I'm like, look, you guys know I'm not that good. So we'll see what happens. And it turned into Tom Brady and Lewis Hamilton versus Marcus Allen and myself on Miami Beach golf course. IWC put this huge watch on the course. It was just beyond amazing. And then it's not an issue, but during F1 it's real testing time for kids. So we always can't bring a lot of kids, but the kids who were able to come to the golf course all played football. Mm-hmm. And so they got to meet Lewis and really, really had a great time with Lewis. And then when Tom came, like they just could not, they had questions and they could not get the questions out. And so that was amazing. In 23 in Jungle Plaza, I think for me, I walk around a lot. I walk around Miami a lot. And so I walk around certain spaces and say, like, I'm going to do a STEM event here. And so I had walked around Jungle Plaza and was like, I'm going to do a STEM event in this whole area. And I don't think about it after. I just say it and move on. And we did a huge activation at Jungle Plaza. They put down a basketball court. It was, so it was right up my alley. They kept saying, B, this year we're going to do something right up your alley. So we did a basketball challenge. But we had, Simu Lee, who was from the Marvel movie. We had James Marsden. If you're watching Paradise and love Paradise, James Marsden was there. So that's really cool. We had Jagger Eaton, who's an Olympic skateboarder. And all these individuals did accomplish a lot at a very young age. We had the F1 team there.
Wow.
Lewis Hamilton was there. And so it was my team versus Lewis' team. We won. So the first year in golf, I beat Lewis. And then the second year, my team beat Lewis. So I'm 2-0 against Lewis.
Oh, gosh.
In 24, we did not do a Miami activation, but we did an activation in Austin. And so in Austin, he was doing an astronaut flight training. So they had a fighter jet with his name on it. I got to activate a site in Austin. We took our Austin Dream scholars there. They got to meet Lewis, ask questions. Lewis flew the fighter jet. This is before his race. They got to meet, what was her name? Haley from SpaceX. That was like a couple of days after SpaceX, launched the rocket, and it just landed, like we've never seen anything like that before. They got to feel the space suit. They got to see different fighter jets, meet Slick, who's a fighter pilot. It was just an amazing experience. So this partnership is mind-blowing every time, because each year they take it up another notch. And so even this year, they were like, yeah, Brandon, this year we're going to take it up another notch. I'm like, what can we do?
Right.
And I think the coolest thing was that I got to bring my daughter to Austin. She got to meet Lewis. And so, I'm from New Orleans, so she's learned about Louis Armstrong. And the whole time, we're just trying to give her some information. And she's like, yeah, Louis Armstrong. I'm like, no, it's Lewis Hamilton. But I had on orange astronaut suit, because we would launch rockets with the kids. She had on a pink astronaut suit. She got to take a selfie with Lewis. So it's just those type of experiences that I can provide to the kids. Also my kid, it's just amazing. So the partnership is amazing. And then Hard Rock Stadium does an amazing job with transforming a football stadium into F1 racetrack. It is just, the racetrack is mind-blowing. And so I'm excited for this year. And we've also partnered with Aston Martin as well. So, what we've done with Dream, if you would have asked me the day I sat in my office and it was like, okay, we're going to start Dream. Dream stands for Development Through Recreational Education for Aspiring Minds. I wouldn't have told you we were going to do any of this stuff.
At did you think of any of this?
No. At I studied electrical engineering and computer information systems. So I wanted just to, I think at the time I would say, like sell computer software and stuff like that. It was very boring. Thankfully, every job I applied for told me no. And prior to graduating, I was selected by the Orange Bowl committee to be an assistantship.
Wow.
And so at that time, I was like, I'm not taking a job less than $50,000. So that job was $1,000 a month. I was like, there's no way I could survive in Miami. But I didn't get a job. And so at the end of August, I was like, hey, is this job still available? And they were like, yeah. And so I went in for the interview, the easiest interview I've ever had. They're like, look, you were selected by the ACC, so it's just yes or no. And I was like, yes. And that was the best decision. The people I met through the Orange Bowl, at the time, the CEO was Keith Tribble. Now the CEO is Eric Palms. It's just been great. And so that's how I started my job, because I met a partner at Deloitte, and that was my first job after the Orange Bowl with Deloitte and Touche.
You just never know the trajectory.
No, not at all. So even doing all of that still wasn't helping kids. How I started DIBIA Athletic was my senior year, we would do a basketball camp at And so each week there was a kid named Julian Marks. Julian and I developed this relationship. We would win the camp, the tournament each week. And so at the end of camp, his mom comes up to me like, hey, why don't you train Julian? I was like, train him in what? They're like, train him in basketball. And I was like, okay. And they were like, yeah, we'll give you a price. We'll recommend you clients, and you just build a business. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, my cousin taught me on a park, like, this is not how people learn how to play basketball or even pay for it. And I was wrong. And thank you to Maria Marks for really putting the idea of DIBIA Athletic into my head and helping me. And so it was amazing. And then also too, to see the kids from DIBIA Athletic, like they're now married. Some of them are doctors, lawyers.
Are you that old, Brandon?
No, the kids are getting old.
The kids are getting, not you.
No, I'm still playing basketball. I'm still in leagues. I'm still doing everything that
I love it.
my age can do.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you, Brandon, so much for just allowing us to peek into your world. Culture family, you can follow Brandon. What is your profile on social media?
Sure. Instagram is at Okpalobi, my last name, or at DIBIA Athletic, DIBIA Dream, or Explore Science. And that's across all platforms. So, you know, you can keep up with all things that I'm doing as far as the businesses. We're starting a show called The Element of Science with my daughter Elle. So that's exciting. And then, you know, keep up with some of the stuff that we have coming up as far as some of the projects. We have some announcements coming up that I'm excited about. So
can you share any here before you leave?
I don't know. We have a call this week, so I'm not sure if I could say it yet, but we did a STEM Saturday at one of their arenas. I can say that.
Nice. So if we follow you on social media, we can find out about the announcement as well as sign up for the newsletter at your website, which is, tell us your website again.
It's DIBIAathletic.com, DIBIADream.org, science.com. And then I have all of those on Okpalobi.com.
Okay. And we can sign up for the newsletter on one of those sites.
On
each one and get the announcement. See, we'll get it. We'll get it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Brandon, for coming. And thank you, Culture family, for joining us. Until next time, we'll see you again.
The Culture is produced and owned by Hip Rockstar Media and is distributed by the Culture Media Group. It cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent. All